We are live.
All right, excellent, Sandy. We're live, and do we have a quorum? Sandy, you are muted.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear.
Do we have a quorum? It looks like we have a quorum. Right?
Oh, yep. You're ready to go. You're live.
All right, great. Well, welcome everyone. Good afternoon. Today is Thursday, April 1st, April Fool's Day. We have 11 bills on the docket. We'll start off with the Chairman Barbe, with House Bill 480. We'll then go on to House Bill 226, 284, 564, 619, 626, 941, 967, 971, 1114, and 1117. So with that, Mr. Chairman, the floor is yours for House Bill 480.
There we go. I can unmute now. First of all, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for covering my basketball hoop bill a little while ago. I do appreciate your consideration on that. And let me present to you House Bill 480. It didn't have a cross file. In prior years, Senator Lamb had the cross file, and I presume that he would do that this year, but he chose not to. In any case, what the bill does is it basically prohibits the person from stopping, standing, or parking a vehicle in a designated plug-in electric drive vehicle charging space unless the vehicle is a plug-in electric vehicle that's actually plugged in. And what is the reason for this? On many occasions, there's a giant grocery store in Rockville on Rockville Pike, and they have 2 free car charging stations. And usually they are occupied by electric vehicles, but occasionally a person with a gas vehicle is parked in there, and it's really meant for an electric car. I know that my wife has tried to use the PIP charging stations at the Pip Moyer Rec Center here in Annapolis during session when she's working out, and she complained, and the manager said, well, we can't do anything about it because if we call the police, they'll say that there's no violation. So what this bill would do is it would establish a civil penalty of $100 if you park in one of those spots. The bill does designate the kind of signage that would be required. And that's the start and the finish of it. I hope that your committee will move favorably on my bill.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'll ask a question for council real quick. I thought we had a bill that's substantially similar to this. I know that you mentioned there was no cross-file, but I seem to remember a bill like this coming through committee, but we'll check, make sure.
Well, I wasn't aware of one, but you know, around this time of year, my brain cells start to die off. So really, who knows?
It's happened to all of us. Well, I appreciate it. Seeing no questions from the committee, that will conclude the hearing and the testimony of House Bill 480. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good to see all of you.
Likewise. Have a good one.
Okay.
All right. Next, we'll go on to Delegate Lewis with House Bill 226. Delegate Lewis, you are up.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. It's exciting to join you guys, the celebrities of the 2021 session. Robin Lewis here on behalf of House Bill 226. That is the Baltimore City Complete Streets Program Funding Traffic and Vehicle Monitoring Systems. This bill is first a local bill supported by the Mayor and City Council, as well as the Baltimore City Senate and House delegations. But most of all, this is a mobility justice piece of legislation that enables Baltimore City to invest in safer pedestrian infrastructure by using revenues from vehicle monitoring camera citations and plowing those revenues directly into the city's Complete Streets program. I'll just say a few words about what Complete Streets is. You'll find lots of resource and reference material in your testimony packet. Suffice it to say that the whole idea of a complete street is to create an environment where everyone who uses the street to move around, whether it's a human being walking on foot, moving on crutches, rolling in a wheelchair, pushing a baby stroller, and everything in between, where every person who uses the public right of way is safe, comfortable, and can get from point A to point B in one piece without harm. A complete street is one that has traffic calming features to reduce the risk of crashes. It's a complete street is one that helps to support business activity because people want to be on that street. It is pleasant and safe. But most of all, a complete street is one that furthers the state's interest in creating a healthy environment for all Marylanders. I'll end there. And again, just remind you that this is a local bill with great support, no opposition, and no fiscal note. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Delegate Lewis. That'll conclude the hearing for House Bill 226. Pending any questions, seeing none from the committee, we'll move on to House Bill 284 with Delegate Lewis. You're up again.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, Delegate Robin Lewis here before you on behalf of House Bill 284. That is the Vehicle Laws Bus Lane Monitoring Authorization Bill. This is an important bill because it will set a precedent, a positive and useful precedent for improving public transit in our state. House Bill 284 enables localities to set up bus lane monitoring systems using existing stationary vehicle monitoring cameras. This is a bill that will help Baltimore City right away, which is why it is supported by the mayor and Department of Transportation. This will help Baltimore right away improve the service of its bus system by preventing vehicles that aren't authorized from driving in dedicated bus lanes. In addition to helping Baltimore right away, this bill lays the groundwork for other jurisdictions that are interested in improving public transit, like Howard County and Montgomery County, jurisdictions that have already contacted me, and some of which are in support of this bill, who wish to serve frontline workers, essential workers, students, visitors, tourists, and others to enjoy the amenities of our state without being dependent on cars and reducing our fossil fuel dependence, improving air quality, just all around making the state a better place to live. Again, I'll remind you that this is a bill that is supported with no opposition and has no fiscal note. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Delegate Lewis. Looking to the committee for questions. Seeing none, that will complete the hearing for House Bill 284. Thank you very much, Delegate Lewis. Good to see you. Have a great afternoon. All right, we'll now move. I see that Delegate Stewart's here. We'll move on to House Bill 564. Delegate Stewart, I'm going to ask to unmute you here, and you are up. Good to see you. We've got a chat.
Great.
Let's chat. I'll talk to you after this.
Okay.
Right.
Good to see everyone. Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the committee. Good afternoon. For the record, I am Delegate Vaughn Stewart. This is HB 564. This is a very simple local bill. It passed out of the Montgomery County House delegation unanimously. It's supported by our county executive, and it received a unanimous vote from the Montgomery County Council. And it's enabling legislation that would allow the Montgomery County Council, if it wants to transfer the authority over our automated enforcement program, basically our speed camera program, from the Montgomery County Police Department to the Montgomery County Department of Transportation. The reason that the county wants to explore this option is not because the Montgomery County Police Department has done a bad job with the automated enforcement program. Actually, on the contrary, they ran, by all accounts, a very competent and professional program. However, most other functions of both transportation, from transportation studies to road improvements to infrastructure improvements, are all currently housed within the Montgomery County Department of Transportation. And so the reason the Montgomery County Council wants to explore this is it wants to provide essentially better uniformity, efficiency, and management across agencies by allowing the entity that does the speed studies and recommends structural improvements to roads to also be in charge of putting up the speed cameras, and then getting data from those cameras. And so I don't believe there's any opposition, so I didn't bring any witnesses with me. And so for in the interest of time, I'll shut up, but I urge a favorable report.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So thank you for your testimony. I see one question from Senator Castle. Senator Castle, you're up.
Hi, Delegate. Just really quick question. So I know in most of these programs that I'm familiar with, then the photos and stuff are collected, and then they go to local police department where a law enforcement officer reviews those and then confirms, yes, this is a violation, and then they have the ticket issued. So I always thought that was something that was sort of inherent or part of their law enforcement qualifications. But now this will be some person who's not a law enforcement officer. And so we'd be granting that authority for the non-law enforcement officers to issue traffic violations?
Yeah, so thank you, Senator Castle, for this the opportunity to sort of clarify this issue. So I talked about the function of the PD camera program right now is mostly in regard to sort of where you put the cameras up. What do you use the cameras for? Are you just trying to deter sort of short-term speeding, or are you trying to use the data to inform changes to roads? But there is an additional function here that you mentioned, which is the actual signing off on the ticket. And the reason that this was, traditionally housed in police departments is there was a view that with this new camera technology, who knows how reliable it'll be. It's sort of nice to have a trained law enforcement officer review these tickets. However, as this has evolved over time, people, the public and the police department and everyone has really begun to trust these cameras more. And my understanding is that Montgomery County Police Department's role in terms of reviewing the footage has turned into basically a perfunctory one. It's turned into a rubber stamp and a box checking exercise, and not really a rigorous review of the tickets that really requires any sort of special law enforcement expertise. And so that's why the Montgomery County Council wants to study this. But it is a good point, and I think it's something that probably the County Council wants to discuss and evaluate. And just candidly, I'm not actually sure that the majority of the County Council would even ultimately support this transfer of authority. It's just they unanimously want to look in and evaluate the issue. But it's a 9-member body, and I'm not actually sure there's currently 5 votes. But they just want to have the conversation. I think that's issues they'll probably take up.
Thanks. So under your bill, though, is there somebody from county government? I realize it moves to transportation or whatever, and then I imagine they contract it out like everybody else does. They're not putting their own cameras up. But is there still a requirement that there's a county government official who's saying, I'm validating these or something? It's not just this thing isn't just contracted out.
The bill would allow the county to change that feature. It would allow the county to have a Department of Transportation employee check the ticket rather than a law enforcement official, but it wouldn't require the county. So for example, it could retain that law enforcement duty, but then have the transportation department decide whether the cameras are put up, for example. So it's a
okay,
broad
and that's fine.
bill.
I'm just trying to clarify. So there would be somebody on the county payroll who's the last person that looks at this and says, on behalf of the county government, whether that's law enforcement or transportation, somebody in county payroll person who's actually saying the ticket goes out. It's not just the contractor pushing these out.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
If that's what they decide to do.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, Senator Castle. Seeing no further questions from the committee, that will conclude the hearing for House Bill 564. Thank you very much, Delegate Stewart. I'll chat with you later. Give you a holler. Thanks for joining us. All right, next we'll go on to House Bill 619 with Delegate Harrison. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the committee. For the record, I'm Andrea Fletcher Harrison, here to present House Bill 619, which is a Prince George's County Speed Monitoring Systems bill for residential districts. This bill is actually a very simple bill. Currently, in Prince George's County, speed cameras can only go in school zones. This bill removes that provision, makes it just like Montgomery County, to where cameras can go outside of school zones. It would go through its data analysis with Department of Public Works and Transportation. If it's a state road, in consultation with the State Highway Administration before anything is permitted. And really, that's the long and short of the bill.
Excellent.
And so I favorable vote.
Excellent. Looking around the committee, seeing no further questions, thank you very much. And we will be in touch soon. Have a great afternoon. And with that, that'll
Thank
conclude the
you.
hearing. Thank you very much. House Bill 626. We'll now move on to Delegate Wells, who is here, I think, with House Bill 941. Delegate Wells, welcome.
Thank you.
There you go. There you go.
I thought we were going to the other Prince George's County bill. Excuse me, but so Chair Smith and Vice Chair Wall-Striker, members of the committee, for the record, I'm Delegate Melissa Wells. I'm here to speak on House Bill 941. If passed, House Bill 941 would authorize Baltimore City to decrease or raise to previous levels established speed limits for roads based on the roadway type and industry best practices without requiring a traffic engineering study. Instances involving raising of speed limits, however, would require a traffic engineering study. HB 941 also includes language that prevents local jurisdictions across Maryland from installing automated speed cameras on any road or highway where speed limits were lowered without a traffic engineering study. This is an administration bill. It initially started as a local bill for Baltimore, but there were some questions that were raised around other jurisdictions trying to utilize this as a way to get around engineering studies. And so we wanted to be very explicit since we know people follow suit when they find out that other jurisdictions have this ability. So the city of Baltimore, as you heard from my colleague, Delegate Robin Lewis, we are undertaking a very extensive Vision Zero Complete Streets process. It is a local ordinance, and that rule on March 15th was published in our Complete Streets Manual. So this process is a very thorough process that involves engineers, will also allow us to design our streets and create speed limits that are safer based on road type and design. And so with that, I urge a favorable report.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Delegate Wells. Always good to see you. And
Good to see you.
Likewise. Seeing no questions from the committee, with that, that'll end the hearing for House Bill 941. Then we'll move on to Delegate Williams with House Bill 626. There you are. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I thank you to the members of the Judicial Proceedings Committee. I'm here on House Bill 626, which is a Prince George's County delegation bill regarding vehicle height monitoring systems. This bill has been supported 100% by the Prince George's County House as well as Senate delegation, and it's enabling legislation that would enable our county as well as the municipalities within our county to install vehicle height monitoring systems. Prior to, there would have to be formed a work group. And this legislation is very similar to legislation that was actually passed last session that was sponsored by Senator Clarence Lamb. And so you'll see very similar language in this bill that was in the bill that was passed by this committee and by this body last year as it relates to Baltimore County. There is support for this bill from the Trucking Association as well as the Beverage Association, in addition to the Prince George's County Council, as well as the Prince George's County Executive and the Prince George's County Municipal Association. And so I'm happy to address any questions that the committee may have with regards to this bill. And thank you for your time this afternoon.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Delegate Williams. We're looking around the room for questions, seeing none. With that, that'll conclude the hearing for House Bill 626. Thank you very much, Delegate Williams. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you too.
Excellent. Next, we'll have House Bill 967 with Delegate Bridges. Welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you. Can you hear me now? Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Thanks for the opportunity to bring House Bill 967 to you on behalf of the Baltimore City Administration. This is an administrative bill. You should have a one-pager from the mayor's office, as well as a letter of support from the Baltimore City Police Department for this bill. And for some of you, you may have heard this bill last year. This bill was about the public safety on I-83. It authorizes the city of Baltimore to install no more than 2 automated speed cameras on the interstate. It also requires installation of electronic notification alerting for drivers of their speed before the placement of the cameras. Any revenue generated from the cameras will first be allocated to pay for the operations of 2 of the speed cameras, and additional revenue will be dedicated to roadway safety improvements only on I-83. This bill also sunsets June 30th of 2026. Again, this bill has everything to do with public safety, and the purpose is really not to aggressively discipline drivers, but to protect them. So people on 83, if you've driven on 83, it's a major speedway in and out of downtown Baltimore. Almost no one drives the speed limit, if you even know what the speed limit is. So speeding is a major concern, so much so that statistics from Washington College, who did a crash analysis from 2015 to 2019. And in that time, there were more than 2,000 crashes along this interstate. 50 of them were high injury or severe. And even last year, from March 5th to the 12th, there were cameras that were mounted on I-83 during a certain time period from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., where 42% exceeded the speed limit by 12 miles per hour and 28% exceeded the speed limit by 15 miles per hour. One was even clocked at 173 miles per hour. Actually, 2 weeks ago, our fire chief in Baltimore City actually got out of his car and helped somebody that crashed on northbound 83 right inside the city limits as well. And so speeding and crashing are just a big correlation on 83. And keep in mind that Baltimore City is the only jurisdiction that maintains its interstate roads. And so I-83, there are no state troopers that maintain that road. And so last year in 2020, there were also over 1,700 calls for service, which takes our police off the city streets to respond to calls for accidents just along I-83. In fact, since we've had this hearing last year, there have been 3 fatalities that have happened due to speeding on Interstate 83. And so again, speeding is a major issue on 83, and we need the cameras to help alleviate some of those issues and concerns that come with the speeding along I-83. Again, if enacted, the revenue will first go to the operation of the cameras. Additional revenue will go to the speedway safety improvements of the road. And again, this bill sunsets in 2026. The Baltimore City House delegation supported this unanimously. The City Senate delegation actually votes on this tomorrow. They already had the hearing, but I will tell you that they do have 2 really good amendments. One amendment just says that any revenue generated is not intended to take the place of funding, but would otherwise be in addition to any funding that's already appropriated for the roadway for any improvements. And the other one is just that the speed monitors, if they're placed for 90 days, no one would get a ticket. They would get a warning, but not a ticket. And so for all those reasons, we would respectfully request a favorable report. I'm happy to take any questions, Mr. Chair.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Delegate Bridges. Your testimony is put some questions. So I saw Senator Edelman first, then we'll go to Senator Castle, then I saw Senator Carter. So Senator Edelman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Delegate Bridges, as you may know, this if you keep going on 83, you hit my district. And I'm on it all the time, and my constituents, and Senator West isn't here, but both of our constituents are up and down the thoroughfare all the time. So I'm just curious whether you guys reached out at all to the county to get their opinion on this legislation.
I wish I could have the city tell me that they've reached out. I am not sure of that, but I will tell you that I get it. You know, it's everybody's using I-83, your constituents. I work downtown, and so it's a daily commute for me. And so I totally understand, you know, going up and down and people getting traffic tickets. But the one thing that I would say about that in terms of, you know, your constituents or even me getting a traffic ticket, the best thing to do to not get that ticket is to go to speed limit, right? And so I would hope that, you know, with all the warnings and the signage, as well as the camera that tells you the speed that you're going, people would actually slow down so they wouldn't get the ticket. But I can find out from the city whether or not they actually did engage the county, and I'll get that information right back to you.
That would be great. I'll ask my folks too, but that would be great. I'd love to hear what the county's kind of official input is. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Senator Edelman. Actually, we'll work with Senator Carter and Senator Sidnor to get that delegation letter. Senator Cassidy's next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hi, Delegate. Welcome to JPR. So this, I'm trying to think, JFX, that's 3 lanes each direction, is that right? 6-lane highway?
No, it's 2 lanes. 2 lanes in each direction.
In this piece of it, we're talking about 2 lanes in each direction?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, that's
So-
right.
So it's
about
limited access.
6.7 miles, 6.7 mile stretch
Okay, from the county line in toward JFX.
into downtown Baltimore. Yes.
Downtown Baltimore. And then, and it's a limited, it's a controlled access. It's all overpasses and ramps and all that. There's no stoplights or anything like that, are there?
Nope, no stoplights.
I'm trying to think of any other state highway that we've put, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars in to put in overpasses and the like, where we have used speed cameras to control traffic. Is there any place else that you know of?
Indian Head Highway was one that this body passed, I believe it was last year, to be able to place cameras on the highway. I would say what makes this a little bit different from other jurisdictions is Baltimore City actually maintains its own highway system. The State Highway Administration does not do the maintenance or the upkeep or even patrol the roads on Interstate 83 once it gets to Baltimore City.
Sure. I mean, that's at the city's election because we actually pay the city to do the maintenance and upkeep on the highway, is my understanding. That's because it's a state highway and
I believe that's a little different, especially for just Baltimore City jurisdiction. I don't believe that they actually have, you know, whether it's highway use or revenues, but that's not going towards the maintenance and upkeep of Baltimore City. Baltimore City is unique in its jurisdiction and maintenance of their highways. And so I believe that it's a few highways within Baltimore City that we are the only jurisdiction that would actually have to maintain and do the roadway improvements.
Yeah, so something that really ought to be changed and bring the city into conformance with the rest of the state in this and many other areas. But it just seems to me that I know there was other bills in this legislative body proposed to use state police to patrol the JFX, and I think at least one other main avenue in Baltimore City. I don't know where those stand. But why if the city police are unable to control the speeding on this highway, wouldn't it be best to just go ahead and turn this highway over to state police, let them do the speed control so that we can actually control the police it's control the speeds if the city police have found that they are unable to do that?
Senator, that is a really good suggestion. So much so that was actually put into the Protect bill last year that we recently overrode that veto. In that Protect bill, we asked for state agencies to be able to patrol Interstate 83. Because we did override that veto, we are in the process now of working with the state agencies to put in a plan on how they're going to do patrolling moving forward. And so because of that, we are able to now be able to have the state police patrol. But we haven't, I don't think the city and the state have negotiated what that looks like just yet. And so it's still in process.
Right. Okay. Well, and that's one aspect of that bill that I fully supported. I mean, all of our highways, you know, limited access highways like that are always patrolled by the state. We have, in some cases, concurrent jurisdiction, but the state's always on those, and it's a great help. So, all right, thank you very much, Delegate. I appreciate it. You have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you very much, Senator Castle. We'll now go on to Senator Carter and then Senator Sidnor.
Delegate Bridges, I just want to say welcome to the Judicial Proceedings Committee and congratulations on finally getting bills over here to the Senate. So briefly,
Real shade right there. Jeez. All right.
I know, I'm joking. This is another one of the dynamic delegates of District 41.
I know.
I'm very proud to say is one of my colleagues. So many years ago, all the way back to 2007, there was a study that implied that it was in the city's best interest for future redevelopment and revitalization to get rid of this I-83 altogether. And I was rather hoping that would be something that we'd be talking about these days. I just want to also tell you that I am a person that was rear-ended on that section of 83 that is going into downtown Baltimore. And I am also a person that was driven off the road and had totaled a car. So I'm 100% in favor of anything we can do, even though it's weird because the roads are so messed up that there are sections where people actually drive too slow and sections where they drive too fast. So I just want to say, give you my support for the bill. I know the delegation will hear it tomorrow and we'll take your amendments and hopefully we'll get this done. But again, I just want to say, welcome to the Senate, because I know you haven't spent much time here.
Thank you, Senator. We go on, Senator Sidnor.
Thank you very much and good afternoon. Just a quick question. I've been in communications with the city because last year the bill was just a little different than what is the posture of it this year. Do you, have they been by any chance any communication with you with regards to the number of cameras and whether or not they'd be movable or immovable? Because the testimony that I presented last year, we kept talking about the curve around near the Pepsi sign being really the impetus to this legislation. However, with the legislation, or the way the bill is currently drafted, if immovable, these cameras could move up and down the entire I-83. Any light you can shed there?
Yes, from what I understand and talking with Baltimore City Department of Transportation, they would be movable cameras. And so with those cameras, depending on where those hot spots are, and there are multiple hot spots along 83, they would be able to move those cameras to alleviate some of the concerns on the hot spots. And so there'll be one camera northbound and one camera going southbound. In terms of the mechanics of when they're able to move them and the notice, I'm not sure of that, but I think that would be something that, the delegation or the city, I could be able to get back to you if that's something of concern to you as well. But I know that they are able to move those cameras.
Yeah, that was certainly a concern that I had, and hopefully I could get some information before we have our vote tomorrow. Thank you.
I'll make sure you get it.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Good to see you.
You too.
All right, with that, seeing no further questions from the committee, that'll conclude the hearing for House Bill 967. Delegate Bridges, thank you very much. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
All
You
right.
too.
Likewise. All right, we'll now move on to Delegate Mouts with House Bill 971. I thought he was here. There he is. We can hear you, just can't see you. There you are.
Chairman, were you calling for me?
Yes, sir. You're up next. At your pleasure.
Mr. Chairman, great to be with you. Vice Chairman, distinguished members of Judicial Proceedings. I'm sorry, I'm double timing. We're doing a voting session. And this is the first time I've done this where I'm on camera, and it was getting a little wild in economic matters while I was on there. I turned the camera off. I apologize if I was making funny facial expressions. I hope everybody's doing well. It's a tough time of year. Thank you for the time today. I'm presenting House Bill 971. House Bill 971 would authorize the town of Oxford, which is located in Talbot County, to operate a speed camera. For probably more than 2 decades, controlling the speed in the town of Oxford has been a issue of hot discussion, and it sort of hit a low water mark, a pinnacle. We had a horrific accident about a year and a half ago, right in front of the firehouse with the president of our volunteer auxiliary who lived across the street. She left her home with her family on the porch, going to a meeting to join the fire company across the street, where the fire company was waiting for her when a car came speeding into town and tragically took her life. It was horrible. There were months of discussion about what to do to try to calm traffic following that. The culmination was the recommendation to put in a speed camera. The Talbot County Council has written a letter of support. And the Talbot County delegation has all voted in support of giving Oxford the authority to establish this speed camera. I urge a favorable recommendation, and thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Delegate Mouts. Looking for questions from the committee. Seeing none, thank you very much. That concludes the hearing for House Bill 971. Have a good one. Have fun in ECM. Tell them all we said hello. All right. All right. Excellent. So now we'll move on to House Bill 1114. Delegate Aaron's, good to see you.
Good to see you too, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be in front of Judiciary. Good to see some old friends from the House of Delegates too. For the record, Delegate Steve Aarons, I'm here to discuss House Bill 114, illegal dumping and litter control law, yard waste disposal on highways. This bill is something we call the grass clippings bill, but it also is something just adding on to existing law. Just a little bit of history on the bill is that motorcyclists, bicyclists, people walking on the streets, if you ever noticed as you're running in a community and you see some people that cut their grass, a lot of these people are blowing their clippings out onto the highway and the road. And it becomes a very dangerous situation for cyclists of any kind, and even runners or what have you, because the grass becomes almost like ice. I do have the support. There's letters of support here from ABATE, which is the American Motorcycle Club. I do have the Shore River, Sassafras Shore River Keepers, and again, from the ABATE organization. It's a good bill, it's a sound bill, and it's a safety bill, and it's really not asking for anything. We had some questions in committee on the House side, and we've addressed all the concerns over there, put a couple amendments onto the bill to ensure that if you have issues with your community allowing you to put leaves in the driveway or on a curb, that would be allowed. We're going to conform to local law. And also we had issues with the utilities and when they cut down trees and limbs and brushes, and that's been addressed in the amendments. I'd be happy to answer any questions on the bill.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Delegate Aaron. So we've got one question from Senator Huff.
I have a question, Delegate. I just want to put a plug in with the chair and make sure we get this one on the voting list. Since we weren't able to get that motorcycle helmet bill out, we can maybe do this one for ABATE. So just thumbs up, Delegate. You got one for him out. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
We're really, by the way, make sure you tell your House colleagues, we're really tough on all the House members. I think some of our people all get beat up over in the House, and we're so nice over here. So,
well, we've been pretty decent in EC. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, you have senators lobbying for your bills over here. This is
no, we're so nice over. I think we got a bad rap over here in the Senate.
All right.
I do too.
There you go. Noted. All right. All right. With that, then that'll conclude the hearing for House Bill 1114. We'll move on to 1117.
Okay. Again, for the record, Delegate Steve Aarons, District 36. This is a Queen Anne's County bill. It's a local bill. And it's really, the bill actually prohibits pedestrians from catching or attempting to catch from or under the Maryland Route 18. This is very specific, Kent Island Drawbridge over the Kent Narrows. This area that we're trying to prohibit, it's a dangerous area for people to get under there. If you've ever been to the Kent Narrows, you'll notice if you should fall in the water, there's extreme currents going through that little channel that we have there. I have a recommendation or letters of support from the Queen Anne's County Commissioners on this bill. Again, part of the impetus for this is we do not have a real way of policing an area that's already said that you're not allowed to fish. And we don't really have that because it's state highway property, and the bill will allow for our local sheriff's office to help enforce the bill. Be happy to address any questions.
All right, excellent. Looking around the committee for questions, seeing none. That will conclude the hearing for 1117. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Delegate Aaron. It's good to see you.
Thank you. You
Have
too.
a great afternoon.
Same to you.
Thanks. All right, committee. The question for us is, do you want to vote before the floor tonight? Trying to figure it out. I know the council is swamped. Let me see, what time is it? It's 3 o'clock. We go on the floor at 7, is that right? All right, if we do from 3:30 to Senator Jackson, go ahead. What's up?
I'm good. I just want to remind you, Mr. Chair, I have a delegation meeting at 6 o'clock. So.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, if we do this, we'll be done well before. I'm just trying to figure out the committee work that's already on the floor, and then what we've got going on today and tomorrow. Give me 1 second here. I'm just checking with council. Give me 1 second. Go ahead, Senator Castle. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't announce any voting session on the floor today, so can we do a voting session if we didn't announce it?
I guess we could. Still live. We're still live right now. We could technically do it if we did it here. I'm just trying to figure out the logistics, just because we're all swamped right now. It's just been, everything's backed up, so I'm trying to figure this out. Hold on. Go ahead, Senator Huff.
Just say, let's see here. Today's Thursday, correct? I'm losing my days here. So tomorrow's actually good. Tomorrow's good Friday. So I'd rather not stick around too late tomorrow. So if we're gonna vote,
yeah, I think that's right.
I'd rather move a couple things today. There's some easy stuff like, I don't know, that little bill.
Got it. Let's do this. Let's come down at 3:45 to 5:45. Okay. Not enough time to prepare? Do you need more time than that to prepare? Okay, yeah. So actually, let's do this: 3:30 to 5:30.
Cool. Thanks.
All right, here we go. Excellent. See you guys down here in half an hour.